That's what's sad.
No,
Motherfucker Putin.
I appreciate it, and I understand the meaning of the eulogy, but I do think that eulogies are quite different, eulogy to eulogy. But I thought that he utilized like his present flawed self to illustrate the vision that Charlie Kirk had, and allowing
Yeah, I agree.
Eulogy.
and allowing Charlie Kirk and Erica
Motherfucking
to be
eulogy.
able to, in the future, be able to persuade him to a vision that Charlie Kirk had. So,
Well, I actually agree with you that his presence, his presentation, was representative of who Charlie Kirk is and was.
Oh,
Absolutely agree with you there because it demonstrated the forked tongue, the double speak that is endemic of this public debate we're having now about Charlie Kirk being a good Christian man, but having all of these vile things that he has said, these racist, misogynistic, homophobic, transphobic, xenophobic things that he said, but to couch it under being a good Christian man. And so Trump actually, embodied the duplicitous nature of Charlie Kirk.
all right. So, just a quick question. I'm pretty sure you guys have answers to this. Pretty sure you guys researched this stuff. Have you ever come across any of his discussions where he complimented us as black people?
Yeah, I have. Have you seen Eyes on the Prize, Samoa?
The movie, yeah.
Yeah, it's actually an 11-part documentary series. But you've seen the first one, which is titled Eyes on the Prize. You're familiar who George Wallace is?
Yes.
Can you just
Is it the British?
No, George Wallace, the former governor of Alabama.
Oh no.
Right. George Wallace was, I believe it was George Wallace who said segregation now, segregation tomorrow,
correct.
segregation forever.
Right.
Right. That governor. He was interviewed by PBS for the Eyes on the Prize documentary in the late 90s, late 80s, early 90s. And they showed these videos of George Wallace being out on the street with Bull Connor and with police terrorists who had attack dogs and clubs and all of those things, attacking black folk and saying vile things about black folk. George Wallace sat down in front of that camera and said, I have black friends. One of my best friends is black. He's here. As a matter of fact, he's here. And the person he calls, I said this last week, is the butler who served as his butler in the governor's mansion. Come here, Roy.
He ain't a bit more know about that man.
This is my best friend. This is one of my best friends. I can't hate black people. You can't. I can't be racist. Cause this nigger here, I'm editorializing now, is my best friend. So Samoa, UTC, Yoshi can go and find whatever complimentary motherfucking clips about Charlie Kirk that you want to. And I'm going to, again, read these statements for you. Okay, since y'all are so hell-bent on this. If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. That was Charlie Kirk on the Charlie Kirk Show on January 23, 2024.
Can you read the whole quote?
And the 21st
If you're a WNBA pop smoking black lesbian, do you get treated better than a United States Marine? That was on the 8th of December, 2022. On the 19th of May, 2023, Charlie Kirk says, happening all the time in urban America. Prowling blacks go around for fun to go target white people. That's a fact. It's happening more and more. quote, if I'm dealing with somebody in customer service who's a moronic black woman, I wonder if she there because of her excellence,
A
or she there
moronic
because
black
of
woman.
affirmative action. That was Charlie Kirk on the 3rd of January 2024. On the 13th of July 2023, Charlie Kirk said, if we would have said that Joy Reid and Michelle Obama and Sheila Jackson Lee and Ketanji Brown Jackson were affirmative action picks, we would have been called racist. Now they're coming out and they're saying it for us. You do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously. You had to steal a white person's slot to go and be taken somewhat seriously. That's a direct quote from his podcast. And so you can try to sugarcoat and ask for the whole 5-minute motherfucking clip so we could see when he was talking about his pet frog, to when he gets to talking about his goddamn grandmother. I don't give a fuck. You can rap in whatever you want.
Well,
If
the reason why I was
it's
asking.
piss in the pool, it's piss in the pool. I don't care how much water in there. It's piss.
Yeah, but the reason why I was asking is
that
because
y'all trying
actually.
to clean up.
Okay. Yeah, the reason I was asking about that first
Hold on,
example.
this is the last statement I'm gonna make because I'm gonna defend Ketanji Brown Jackson. Somebody who was a motherfucking community college dropout had the nerve to open his slit-looking lip-ass mouth to talk about the person who has been the most qualified nominee to the Supreme Court in the last 100 years.
Shit.
Has served on every level of the federal judiciary. Also served as a public defender on the federal level. Served on the sentencing commission. And you have the motherfucking nerve to talk shit about a woman like that with those accomplishments, and you couldn't even get a fucking full year transcript at a community college? And you talking about taking somebody's slot? Not to mention you made the statements about
What was his GPA that one semester?
he didn't get
Couldn't get
accepted
into
into
West
West
Point.
Point because somebody black probably took his slot. Not probably, but they took his slot. And then when he was challenged on it 2 years later, he said, well, that was what he heard. And then challenged further years later after that, saying, I never said it. Why? What? Tell me what the impulse to
I was
sanitize
just asking what his GPA was, though.
You can look it up. But as soon as Corey's done, I just wanted to ask just a couple of questions.
Yeah, I just asked, what is your impulse to sanitize this? What is that rooted in?
Well, I'm not sanitizing anything. I was just going to ask, as far as like your first example that you brought forth about I'm going to wonder if the pilot is qualified. The reason why I asked you if you could go ahead and read the rest of the quote is because, and I think this is verbatim, he says, this isn't me, this isn't how I actually think. It's unfortunate, but the far left creates these programs that make you question a person's qualification because they prioritize or their primary focus is identity. So that's the full quote.
So wait,
Right.
hold on, y'all, please. Can you read the quote again?
Yes. So after he says that, they start laughing in the podcast, and then he says, "This isn't me. This isn't not how I am. It's the way that the left creates these programs like affirmative action and DEI that makes you question the qualifications of black people, gender, whatever." And then he says,
Okay.
he said because the primary focus is identity.
Okay. So do you want to engage in a conversation with me about linguistics and the linguistic tools that he employed in the quote that you just read? That he sought to distance himself by saying, this isn't me.
This
Saying,
is what DEI and
right,
affirmative
but
action
this is what DEI and the left makes you think. It makes you question. It makes you wonder. How are those two ideas separated from each other? The first clause and the third clause support each other. And the bridge in between them is his attempt to distance himself from what he later says is a justification because these programs on the left that are created by the left, they make you question question a black pilot's qualifications.
But Corey, to add,
That doesn't. Hold on. I just want Samoa to respond because you read this full quote as if it would exonerate him, and the full quote actually supports the first thing that he said.
No, so what he says is, this isn't me. I don't think this of black people, but because DEI and affirmative action, specifically about this example here, because they prioritize identity, it makes you question if that's what they prioritized over qualification.
Okay. Makes who question?
People.
Who is the proverbial you that he's talking about?
Yeah, people.
Who?
Like, yeah, just anybody who looks at this and understands that it prioritizes.
Anybody who looks at a black pilot and questions whether they're qualified.
No, the mechanism is like affirmative action.
It's
DEI.
white people.
So,
White people is the answer.
So you jumped from you and Charlie Kirk make this.
Oh shit! Me and Charlie Kirk.
Yeah. You're offering a justification right now. You're standing in the stead of making this straw man ass defense. That's why I asked what your obsession with this project is. So
no, he points out that he doesn't think that of black people.
Right.
But the program,
and just like I just said, George Wallace just somebody in the chat said, well, George Wallace changed in the late 80s. He was a different person than he was in the 60s and the 70s. I'm aware George Wallace's last election, he won like 80+% of the black vote. I know like civil rights history. And again, I point to George Wallace because the same fucking thing. You're saying Charlie Kirk says, no, I don't think this way.
About black people.
I know why people think this way.
Yeah.
Because the left makes them think this way.
Right, because he's responding to the CEO's statement.
Put a 1 in the chat if you've ever saw a black pilot and thought, are they there because of DEI or affirmative action?
Well, you could have did a black or a person of color or a woman because he's responding to the statement.
It was very specific, though.
Well,
yeah.
Well, because he's responding to the statement from the CEO of United Airlines.
Put a 1 in the chat if you've ever saw a woman as a pilot or co-pilot, or a black person as a pilot or co-pilot flying a plane and thought, oh my God, I hope they're not in the cockpit because of DEI or affirmative action.
Well, after reading the statement from the CEO. So when the CEO comes out and says...
I didn't listen. Before, after doing...
Well, you would have to know about the program for it to actually
future
affect your
I'm
viewer.
I'm asking, because we all have had access to these statements prior to now, Samoa. I think we've all heard these conversations because they are not Charlie Kirk's ideals alone.
The CEO's statement, the United Airlines CEO?
Again, we all heard the conversations about that CEO's statement and other folks' statement about affirmative action. So he made that statement about affirmative action and it being a justification for why people could think that. Do you think, Samoa, that statement, that justification at the end is far off from the other statement because you elected to zero in on only the last one and did on only the first one and didn't adjust the other ones? Where he talked about affirmative action and how these black women didn't have the intellectual capacity to be in these places.
Yeah, so the reason, so when you were talking about Justice Jackson and Reed and all them, so in that comment he was responding to, I think it was Justice Jackson when she said that affirmative action or something to the effect of DEI got her in there, but graduating it was all her. Basically, just to paraphrase, just to sum it up, right?
Right.
And what he's saying is that by her admitting that the reason why she even got in the door was because of a program and not on merit, her graduation.
But it has nothing to do with merit. Let me just say this. This is your fundamental misunderstanding. Please, let me speak. Let me speak. When people say that they need programs like DEI or affirmative action or whatever policies, it's not because they don't have the merit otherwise. It's because regardless of their merit, things like institutional racism and personal prejudice keep them out. So what she's saying is we needed programs to address the racism that would have kept me out despite my merit.
I just want to read the end of the quote.
Absolutely.
Or I'll read the whole quote. If we would have said that Joy Reid and Michelle Obama, Sheila Jackson Lee, and Ketanji Brown Jackson were affirmative action picks, we would have been called racist. Now they're coming out and they're saying it for us. You don't have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously. You had to steal a white person's slot to go be taken somewhat seriously. That's his perspective.
You hear this shit, Ali?
About
motherfuckers blaming everybody for everything. Can't accept no personal responsibility. Self-governance. Can't even be creative because everything is racist. No matter how hard you work, how smart you are, how nice you are, how much of a gentleman you are. It's structural, motherfucker.
So can you jail what he says here about being an affirmative action pick and the statement that he makes? You don't have the brain processing power.
Don't got the brains,
motherfucker. Be taken seriously. You had
ain't got
to
the
steal a white person's
brains
slot to go be taken
Holy
somewhat
shit.
seriously.
Yeah, that's his critique on affirmative action, right? Like that's the conservative Eric.
No, that's his.
Just hold on. Just real quick. If he,
That's his critique on DEIA,
not
on affirmative action. There's a difference between the two.
All right, so just real quick, like this is a conservative talking point. Candace Owens.
It's also a racist talking point.
Motherfuckers
They're
are
one and the same.
racist. Everything is racist.
Come on,
Just address
Everything is
what you just heard.
racist.
Yeah, I'm pointing it out. So
Give it some heart, man. Come on, bro.
I mean, y'all please, Samoa, go ahead.
All I'm saying is that Charlie Kirk didn't make up these talking points. And this is the reason why Ben Carson.
So therefore he's not racist?
Come on, relax, come on. There's a reason why Clarence Thomas, all these black prominent people that he references. What was the other guy's name that was running against Newsom? The guy with the radio show for governor? The guy that the monkey threw the thing at.
Elder.
Larry Elder.
Was also
Right, like he had this is verbatim like his argument right here about affirmative action, about identity stealing from those that are more qualified.
You know who else has those arguments?
But you're not addressing how it's not racist.
that shit.
Because it's a conservative idea, not a racial one. But go ahead.
Okay.
Why can't it be both? Why
really
can't it be both?
Conservatives only conserve
Women are dumb.
race. It's what you're
Conserve white
trying to
nationalism.
conserve, and you're
No.
trying to conserve white nationalism, white supremacy, racism, misogyny, homophobia. That is what you're conserving. Okay.
No,
But
I
go
think
on.
you're conserving like Judeo-Christian values, nuclear family.
Which is
That's not what
euphemism for white.
Please.
Because here's the other thing. If we know that
nuclear
these
family is white.
let me speak. Yes, it is a Eurocentric idea. Yes, it is. Anyway, what I was gonna say is.
Hey, but Jesus is black though.
Okay, so I'll continue speaking now. So, if you know about these systems, and it's not just racism, right? If we're taking an intersectional approach, it's classism, it's patriarchy, they have moneyed networks, support networks which is why not only white people en masse, but a very specific and select group of people have been the ones to excel and move forward in so many fields, So if we understand anything about history and how these systems of oppression work, then why wouldn't people look at these white men and be like, I have to question, are they really qualified to be there? Or was it the oppression and the nepotism?
Looking at you, Pete Hegson.
And it's interesting that he only named black women when he could have named Sonia Sotomayor. He could have named Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Sandra Day O'Connor, or what's the one in there now? From Indiana, who only had what is it, 2 years? He could have named Elena Kagan. I'm talking about the conservative.
Coney Barrett.
Yeah, he could have named her, who had the least amount of federal judiciary experience since Sandra Day O'Connor.
Say Corey.
He didn't name any of those white women, but he zeroed in on black women with sterling qualifications. And you still, like, while you have done it, in the moment, you still haven't given voice to your obsession with this project of sanitizing his repugnant views.
Iran.
You've given us dithering answers about these aren't his ideas; these are conservative ideas. You know, they're not his talking points.
Corey, he's gone.
It doesn't matter if he's gone. It does not matter if he's gone. Let Corey finish.
Okay.
Corey,
No, I mean,
please.
listen. I think it's worth pointing out. I just think those things are worth pointing out. That as soon as I maybe it's like when you say Beetlejuice or when you say Candyman 3 times, like they show up, because we were just talking about TC and Yoshi, and then here comes this one.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we should stop, playing these childhood games we used to say, Candyman. If you're from Chicago, we don't fuck with Candyman. Maybe we should stop, because that was another instance of exactly what I just talked about. And I appreciate y'all allowing me that back and forth to demonstrate how fucking absurd it is. Like, that shit's crazy.
This ideology is just so fucking insane to me, because on the one hand, you're going to keep basically anyone who's not a rich white man, right? You're going to keep them out, right? Under these systems, where they get to make their own decision and they get to pick whoever the fuck they want. You know what? I'm not even going to tangent into a different story. So that's how they're kept out, right? And then if we address that oppression and we say, listen, you guys clearly cannot be trusted, okay, to make decisions completely of your own free will. Okay, we've given you free reign for hundreds of years to make the decision based on whatever you think is best, and we see what you've done. Okay, so now there are going to be some basic rules. And this idea that these programs make you have to hire a black woman, it's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever read. There's not a single policy that is a policy that says you must admit a black woman, you must hire a black woman, or whoever. It doesn't fucking exist. But what does exist is saying you have to cast a wider net, you have to consider a variety of factors, you have to pull from this candidate and this. So there's a whole range of things that make them have to consider more people, okay? And so when they're forced to consider more people, right? And now it's not a bunch of people, right? It's still mainly, pilots are still mainly men and judges are still mainly white men, but there's a sprinkling. There's been a small opening. And now they're going to use that to say, oh, so now you're not qualified now, because we weren't allowed to keep you out. Now you're not qualified. This is the ultimate fucking catch-22. It always comes down to, at the end of the day, whether it was the unabashed racism before the policy or the somewhat held back racism after the policy, what it always fucking comes back to is you don't belong here. You don't belong in that role. You don't belong in that position. You don't have the right to make a decision. That's what it always fucking comes back to. And yet somehow, it has nothing to do with racism. It has nothing to do with it.
Well, we can just talk from the administration. I mean, think about it. RFK Jr. is Secretary of Health and Human Services. He does not have a medical background, but because his last name is Kennedy goddamn Jr., he got in. All because of his last name. I mean, where are the qualifications there? Why are we not questioning why he is secretary? But somehow Ketanji is a problem? I don't think so.
There's no question, right? He said specifically, and this is exactly what Black people face, and when we try to participate in this economy, he said specifically had to take a position that belonged to a white man. That says a lot right there. That is the crux of racism, white supremacy. When I see you walking through the door, I automatically assume that you know nothing, and this mediocre ass white man that's next to me, somehow he's so brilliant. Motherfuckers been flying planes for how long? Like, his examples are just so absurd. But because some of us buy the narrative about ourselves, about our own people, and can't identify that we possess all of these skills, we do all of these positions. You go to Africa, all the fucking pilots are Black. Black women, Black men, like, come on, like, we're running our own countries and the infrastructure we can afford to support. We have these skills too. Like, it's not fucking, this is just, it's not anything unique. It's not quantum physics. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, damn, really? Like, you think that a motherfucker got to know how to build the plane to fly it?
And even if it was quantum physics, plenty of fucking Black people could do it.
That's a fact.
God damn it.
But it belongs to a white man. And that's where they never get pushback. It's like, what do you mean it belongs to a white man? What makes you think that you are entitled to a labor position?
Well, you know what?
And it also connects, right? Because TC was him and the other fool were trying to like sanitize white replacement theory. It also connects because these Black women, these Black men are replacing white men in the workplace. They're replacing them in the population. Like, all of this is linked, and people gotta act
what
like
a bunch of fucking dickless little scared puppies peeing their leg all the fucking time.
Like, it just, I mean, okay, I think the horse is dead. We can chop it up for, like, dog food or something. I don't know.
Well, I like what Michelle Obama said, which is when you get into these rooms, right? When you get into these boardrooms, when you get into these halls of power, when you get into these tables of decision making, what you'll find is that nobody there is smarter than you. This is all some fucking emperor has no clothes. And that's what they're actually fucking terrified about, because they've been playing the fucking game on easy mode, and they fucking know it, and they're terrified of any kind of fairness. They're terrified of a meritocracy. They're terrified to fucking compete. And then they were sitting up here saying, well, what grades did Charlie Kirk make? Oh, whoop-de-fucking-do. At his little rinky-dink community college in the first year, what do you make? A's? Wow, I'm so fucking impressed. Give me a fucking break.
Something to share, right? So, we're aware of this quote, right, that came from Crystal Clanton. She was one of the UNLV chapter presidents, right? And she leaked, the New Yorker leaked some of the messages, her text messages, and one of them was said, I hate black people, like fuck them all. I hate blacks, end of story, right? And so after that, and after the media, release of it, TPUSA let her go, right? Guess who she's working for? Clarence Thomas.
The person that was just quoted by this young man who was on the stage, or just brought up in this topic. That's who, the person who said, I hate you niggas, full stop. She working for Justice Ruckus.
Oh, God.
He quoted Crystal Clanton?
That's what I heard, but
Damn.
And Corey, when you were asking, what is your commitment to, what is your obsession with sanitizing this racism? Here's what it actually is because these men would rather be with and align with their oppressors, i.e. these racist white men, than be aligned with and in solidarity with the people that they're oppressing, i.e. the fucking rest of us. They're such little fucking fanboys. They'd rather fanboy than fucking be with the rest of the people and align and actually be in solidarity and get some power for all of us.
And let me just say this, because this is what's underneath all of it. Mike, Manfinity, TC, Trent, all of you, okay? I'm gonna give you a life hack. You never gonna be him. You ain't never gonna be that nigga. You will never get the opportunities they've given to Charlie Kirk. You will never get this imaginary opportunity you think is gonna fall into your motherfucking lap because you have become a lapdog for this foolishness. You will never get the grace for fuck up that Donald Trump has got. And I think this y'all think by osmosis or proximity you niggas is gonna achieve the white mediocre dream. That shit is never gonna happen for you, buddy. Name a black person that's shucking and jiving, stepping and fetching that got 13 million of their own motherfucking dollars for doing the shit y'all doing on this app. Because they paid Charlie Kirk good money.
yeah, I think.
And then raised that motherfucking GoFundMe. His mom, his goddamn family getting more money. You niggas ain't never. You will never get it.
I think it's the way they've internalized their racism, though. I don't think they actually believe that, Corey, if we're being in depth. I think they believe that their proximity to whiteness gives them, just like all the other ones. I think some of them believe that their proximity to whiteness grants them safety. It means being more powerful than acknowledging that there has been some level of oppression. Being oppressed feels weak. It feels powerless. And they make those kinds of they do the things that they do so that they don't feel that way. That's the way that they've internalized that racism. So they convince themselves that they're not weak and I'm not powerless. So if I don't acknowledge that, and I say that I'm powerful, then that's the way I'm going to feel. I feel like I'm just like they are.
Somebody call Kanye? Can somebody sue up Candace Owens?
Yeah.
there's also that some of them are seeking positions in the party, so there's that.
Cue up Tim Scott. Cue up Byron Donalds. Cue up who the nigga y'all said spoke
and
at the funeral.
Corey, the real irony is they won't even, these men are trying so hard to look smart, they don't even want to lift up smart black men because that undercuts their racist argument. Every time they put a black man to the front, it's somebody who's gonna fucking embarrass himself, be a fucking idiot, not talk for 20 years like Clarence Thomas, because that's who they want to lift up as the representation of black people. They don't want someone smart.
Can you imagine being appointed to considerably the most powerful position in the United States government
and not saying a word?
Not saying any fucking thing.
You know what? Probably every time he doesn't speak, they cut him a check.
I mean, can you imagine? Like, literally, a nigga can't do nothing to you. Can't do nothing about what you say. And you don't say shit.
For what? For what? For a nice vacation? What an idiot.
I'll say what I want on this motherfucker for free. And can't nobody do shit to Clarence Thomas. Some people might take these recordings and stop funding for, you know, my foundation. And, you know, I got a homie who is now the most banned author in the country. So, you know, when my book come out, I guess they could ban my books and shit. So I got some. But Clarence Thomas, this thing ain't got nothing to lose. Don't say a motherfucking monkey ass word. 3 sentences, the whole term. I can't imagine.
Because it's not just about who they love, these fucking white racists. It's about who they hate, the rest of us. That's what they have in common with those people. They all hate us. And then they always come up here like we're going to be fooled. Oh, well, talking to Deborah, God knows which way. Oh, you're an angry black woman. You're this, you're that. And then in the same breath saying, hey, I have nothing against you. Give me a break.
I'm still mad that y'all got in the way of the truck when it was coming down the road. Because Deborah was about to drag his ass. I felt the good old filthy read coming. And a couple people got in the way and threw her off a little bit. And she had to reset. She was about to call him ashy and all types of shit. And then they got derailed. I didn't appreciate that.
Noted. We'll do better next time.
At least to be
Man, I done messed around and cleaned up my whole house.
Now he got you mad, so you had to.
He meant it for evil, but God used it for good.
Or something.
You know, for me, it's just the not able to acknowledge anything on their side. And it just infuriates me that they can see, you know, it's okay to do hate speech as long as it's not happening to them. Yeah. And for him to say anything after he listened to what we had just listened to about Wesley, Pastor Wesley, and not have anything to say, it's that for me. It bugs the hell out of me that they only see from one side. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's how. Even I didn't want to get into it with Gemini earlier, but like even when he was like, I was like, you know, how come people always say the left, the left, the left, the Dems, the Dems, the Dems? You don't hear that about the other side. Like they could do no wrong, like even though they do all the wrong, and I was met with like resistance resistance. I was like, well, what the fuck you fighting me on that for? Because I'm right.
Right, I agree.
Right. Y'all was mixing up names tonight. That wasn't Gemini. That was Haitian.
Yeah, that was Haitian.
Oh well, yeah, it was Haitian.
Everybody, and y'all.
And somebody thought I was somebody else.
Ron, I need you to be VC right now. Is it too soon for me to make a aim joke?
No, it's not.
If y'all gonna shoot, aim for the nigga's neck. Y'all got to do better. Y'all got to do better. Okay. Well, you said it's not too early. The VC said it was okay. So we all going down.
I had to ask Lisa that because it might be too soon.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, I mean, Ron has a fiduciary responsibility to give me good advice. So, well, so much for that.
And I don't know.
What else happened tonight? I'm sorry, Malak. I want to give you your credit.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
I want to give you credit for. I know at least on 2 occasions, Manfinity brought up something, and you used his own argument against him.
Yeah,
earlier
the
in the
Fairness
night.
Doctrine and the Equal Time Act.
Yeah, that was wonderful. I said we got to do more of that right there. Yeah. He took his own argument.
It's not like I know everything. I don't. It's simple Google searches that they refuse to do because they're lazy and they're intellectually dishonest. I can only assume. Manfinity always sitting up here saying got anything, and then you fact check him and he's like, oh, is that right? It's like, how do you literally made the argument and you don't know anything about it.
Yeah, that was classic today. I'm always in the car or moving around. I'm never by the computer when I'm on Clubhouse. I'm on it so much at work when I can't say anything, but I'm gonna have to figure out something. Anyway,
Lisa, like 1.5 days out of the week because I need to do some mindless stuff. I'm told I work too much. So I think y'all have seen me on here like once a week. Yeah, you ain't gonna get much more because I ain't gonna have my blood pressure up.
Yeah. I totally understand. I'm calm now. It's 2:52 a.m. But I'm also a professional crash out. If I hear too much MAGA rhetoric, I will spaz out. So as nice as it is to come on stage, I would most likely rather stay in the goo just because it can get very vile and volatile on the stage, especially with MAGA just jumping off the rails with these goddamn rhetorics and whatnot. It doesn't make any sense, and I'm not going to fight that fight all day, every day on here. I came here to listen and have a good time, and then close the app.
Love your PTR, by the way.
Here I go. Here's a moment of reflection. Okay. A couple people said, "Oh, who hurt you? Ooh, Corey, you angry? Oh, he big man, whatever the shit was." I often tell people, that I coach or that I was counseling when I was doing pastoral care. Right, you have a responsibility to be able to identify your triggers once you've started down the ritual that leads to your compulsive behavior. I was triggered today, and it was that press conference about autism. That is what incensed me today and put me on the pin that I'm on. Like, I have loved ones and know people and have just seen people in the world who are trying to navigate autism without this extra unnecessary bullshit. And so that's what triggered me. I was just sitting here for a second thinking about, damn, what does have you up like that? And it's 2:54 in the morning. It was that. Like, that shit is dangerous. It is unnecessary. It is going to create.
It's spreading hate of autistic people.
I mean, it's going to create all types of disappointment and heartache for people who believe that this shit is going to provide them some hope and doesn't. So that's what got me. That's what got me on 10. And I guess I've just been there all day. So that's my acknowledgement of where.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's also like the rebirth of all of Hitler's talking points, which not only is just bad altogether, but it leads us down it leads us down a dangerous path. All of these talking points, it starts off little by little, and then it catapults into something far more dangerous and sinister. And I feel like we have the right to be passionate. We have the right to be upset because we see the burning of the fires. We see our communities being demolished right in front of our eyes. It's like watching a train wreck. You want to look away. You can't look away. It's going to collide. Things are going to collide. It's going to get worse. So yeah, you have the right to be passionate, Corey. I have the right to be a professional crash out on here, if and when necessary. I don't want to be, but if it means having to combat the spew of hatred and bigotry, I will do all of that. I will be all of that. I will be all sorts of B's and A's and everything else if it means that we have a way to stop this. But I'm going to be passionate about this first. I don't like this shit at all. I cannot believe that Trump has given white nationalists a platform, a freaking platform, that they can spew this motherfucking code to not only America but throughout the world. That is dangerous. We are heading to a place that I don't even want to see. I remember Brooklyn used to have this PTR of Black women watching buildings burn, and they're just holding and drinking coffee or tea. That's what it's looking like. Eventually, we're going to get to a place where these buildings start to burn and this war starts to implode and people are going to have to scatter and run for their lives. I pray it doesn't happen, but I see something happening and I don't like it. And I feel it in my bones that if we don't say something now, it's just going to get worse.
Yeah, that's powerfully said, both of you. And I feel that there's something very naive about these Trump supporters, particularly, when they're Black men or when they're women, because it's like, how many times do you need to watch the leopards eat someone's face before you realize, oh, this is what they do? I mean, he had crowds out there chanting "Hang Mike Pence," which is the fucking vice president. Do you think you're going to be more powerful than that? Like, this is going to turn around and bite you in the ass. But on the other hand, I can also see how it would be very satisfying on just like a gut emotional level to be a Trump supporter. Like, to be like the way that they go out there and they just speak so boldly. I can see how that would be very satisfying. They're telling you these people are enemies and they're going to go after them and whatever. And you're like, yes, like there's something very primal about, well, if you think someone is, if you're saying someone is so bad, this is how you should speak about them and whatever. And it feels like, on our side of things, we're being told, oh, these people are, we see the horrible things that they're doing, they're threats to democracy and whatever. But then it's always this like placating language. Not that I like want, the violence in any way, but even like because I remember when Obama was running, particularly in 2008, when he had to make the case for himself. And the way that they made the case for Obama is they brought out, because he was the first black man to be the editor-in-chief of the Harvard Law Review when he was at Harvard Law School. So what they did was they brought other people that were on the law review, but specifically there was this, I remember him very clearly, this conservative white man. And the whole pitch was that when he ran the Harvard Law Review, like it was very politicized and, you know, it was very right versus left, but he was able to bring people together and he listened to both sides. And there was this conservative, you know, white man on the law who was on the law review with him talking about he was fair, we felt so heard, we felt so listened to, and that was the kind of president that he was going to be. And then they were always telling us about, you know, his white grandparents who were from Kansas, and that these are the kind of good white Kansas values that he has. And even when the thing happened with preacher Jeremiah Wright, and initially, because eventually he did condemn Jeremiah Wright, but initially they were like, condemn him. And then he said, you remember he made that speech and he was like, I can no more condemn, you know, Pastor Jeremiah Wright, then I can condemn my own white grandmother who clutches her purse a little tighter when a black man passes. She's not, you know, I'm paraphrasing, like she's not racist, but this is just the lessons that she grew up with and we have to come together. So it's like people of color and stuff are always being told, find the compassion, find a way to come together, but I like what someone was saying about like turning down the temperature or whatever. Like if the ground is gasoline and both of us are holding a match and I put out my match but you don't put out yours, the fire is still gonna fucking burn. So I can see how on their side there's a very like guttural primal satisfaction in seeing someone be like, no, we're going to burn it. I understand that at a human level. I don't endorse it. I don't believe in it, but I understand it on a human level. But ultimately, can't they see that they are the ones that are going to fucking burn? This man and these kind of movements always turn against their own, let alone the most marginalized within the movements. Like, how can they not see this?
They're too busy watching DI.